Hello again and welcome to the second part of our discussion about final income taxation. And I would just like to say that the things that I am discussing here are taken from the book of Sir Rex B. Bangawan, CPA MBA. The book is entitled Income Taxation Laws, Principles, and Applications. This video is dedicated to my students and also to the other students na nahihirapang sumabay sa discussions nila sa school. At least dito pwede nyo i-post ang video o kaya naman pwede nyo ulit-ulitin ang panunood para maintindihan nyo ang konsepto. So sa part 1 ng video, na-discuss na natin yung interest. So dito, i-discuss natin yung iba pang mga passive income. So we are now in the second type of passive income subject to final tax, and this is all about dividends. So when we speak about dividends, it refers to any distribution made by a corporation to its shareholders out of its earnings or profits and payable to its shareholders whether in money or in other property. So as a rule, dividends are income subject to tax. There are 5 types of dividends. First one is cash dividend. So when we say cash dividend, cash. So this refers to dividends paid in cash. For property dividends, these are dividends that are paid in non-cash properties, which may include stocks or securities of another corporation. Another type of dividend is scrip dividends. These dividends are paid in notes or evidence of indebtedness of the corporation. The fourth one is stock dividends. So stock dividends, so from the name itself, stock dividends. So these are dividends paid in the stocks of the corporation. And then lastly is the liquidating dividends. These are dividends as distribution of corporate net asset. As I have mentioned earlier, dividends are income subject to tax. However, the following are not subject to tax. Itong dalawang to ay hindi daw subject to tax. First is the stock dividends and the second one is the liquidating dividends. So these two are not classified as income, so therefore hindi sila subject to tax. However, itong si stock dividends, pwede siyang taxable kung merong subsequent cancellation and redemption at kung nagli-lead siya sa substantial alteration in ownership in the corporation. Okay, so review natin, no? There are 5 types of dividends. Sila yung cash dividend, na property dividend, scrip dividends, stock dividends, and liquidating dividends. So, 5 sila. So, out of these 5 dividends, dalawa yung hindi taxable. Sila si stock dividends and liquidating dividends. Pero si stock dividends po pwede siyang maging subject to tax kung ma-meet niya yung conditions. So, ano yung conditions? Kung merong subsequent cancellation and redemption. At kung merong substantial alteration in ownership and the corporation. Let us now move on to the dividend tax rules. So, ito yung rule na kailangan nating i-observe when computing for the taxes related to dividends. Ang sabi dito, kung ang nakatanggap daw ng dividend galing sa isang domestic corporation na isang individual, po pwedeng siya ay resident citizen, non-resident citizen, or resident alien, yung dividend na yon ay subject to 10% final tax. Kung ang nakatanggap naman ng dividend galing kay domestic corporation ay isa pang korporasyon, po pwedeng siya ay isang domestic corporation or resident foreign corporation, yung dividend na yun is exempt from the final tax. Exempt siya from the tax. Kung ang nagbibigay naman ng dividend ay isang foreign corporation, yung dividend na yun ay subject to regular tax. Di bali kung sino yung nakatanggap, si individual man o si corporation. The point is, yung dividend galing kay foreign corporation is subject to regular tax. And then of course, do not forget that non-resident aliens engaged in trade or business are subject to the 20% final tax on dividend. And then for non-resident aliens not engaged in trade or business, they are subject to 25% final tax. Okay, I'm going to repeat it. Non-resident aliens engaged in trade or business, their final tax for dividend is 20%. For non-resident aliens not engaged in trade or business, they will be subject to 25% final tax. When it comes to non-resident foreign corporation, they are subject to the 30% general final tax rate. Pero kung merong tax-sparing rule, the final tax or the dividend tax would be 15%. Okay, so at this point, let us try to solve the following given illustrations. We'll start with the first one, and it says that Calbayo Company declared a total of 2 million pesos dividends. 800,000 pesos is due to corporate shareholders, while the 1,200,000 pesos is due to individual shareholders. The question is, how much is the final tax to be withheld by Calbayo Company? So, Calbayog Company here is a domestic corporation. So, hindi naman sinabi na si Calbayog ay isang foreign corporation. So, therefore, it is safe to assume na si Calbayog dito is a domestic corporation. So, ang sabi sa problem, nag-declare daw si Calbayog ng 2 million pesos worth of dividends. Yung 800,000 ay para sa mga corporate shareholders at yung 1,200,000 pesos ay para naman sa mga individual shareholders. Okay, solve na natin. So, dalawa yung shareholders ni Calbayo Company, diba? Si individual at saka si corporate. So, ang dividend para kay individual ay 1,200,000 pesos. So, to get the final tax na kailangan i-withhold ni Calbayo Company for this amount, kailangan natin siyang i-multiply sa corresponding final tax rate, which is 10%. So, bakit nga ba 10%? So, let's check that one in the table. Ayan. So, ang source ng dividend ay si Calbayo Company, which is a domestic corporation. Tapos, sino ba yung makakatanggap ng dividend? Na 1,200,000 pesos. Si individual. Kaya naman, ang final tax is 10%. So, 1,200,000 pesos dividend multiplied by the final tax rate of 10%. So, ang tax na kailangan i-withhold ni Calbayo Company for this is 120,000 pesos. For corporate shareholders, ang matatanggap nila na dividend from Calbayo Company ay 800,000 pesos. So, multiply natin siya sa corresponding final tax rate. Sabi dito, 0%. So, bakit nga ba 0%? So, tingnan natin sa table. So, ang source ng dividend ay si Calbayog Company, which is a domestic corporation. And then, sino ba yung makakatanggap ng dividend na 800,000 pesos? Si corporation. So, sabi dito sa table, exempt daw siya from the final tax. Kaya pala, 0% yung rate na nakalagay dito sa solution. So, 800,000 pesos times 0%, of course, that is 0. So, ibig sabihin, hindi magwi-withhold ng final tax si Calbayo Company with respect to the dividends for corporate shareholders. So, magkano nga lang ba ang final tax na i-withhold ni Calbayo Company? That is the 120,000 pesos. This is with respect only to the individual shareholders' dividend. Alright, so let us now proceed to the next illustration. Okay, sabi dito, a Borean company declared a total of 750,000 pesos dividends in March 2014. An analysis of the recipient shareholders is as follows. So, ito yung mga nakatanggap daw ng 750,000 dividends. Okay, for resident aliens and citizens, 500,000. Non-resident aliens engaged in trade or business, 100,000. Non-resident aliens not engaged in trade or business, 50,000. And then non-resident corporations, 100,000. So the total dividends is 750,000 pesos. So the question is, how much is the total final tax to be withheld by a Borean company? Okay, so dito naman hindi rin sinabi kung si Aborian Company ay isang foreign corporation. So malamang sa malamang, si Aborian Company dito ay isang domestic corporation. Okay, solve natin. Okay, ito yung solution. Okay, lista natin yung mga shareholders ni Abore and Company. Okay, we'll start with the resident aliens and citizens. So, yung dividend daw na matatanggap nila ay 500,000 pesos and the corresponding tax rate for them is 10%. So, check nga natin sa table kung bakit 10%. So, ang source ng dividend ay si Abore and Company, which is a domestic corporation. Tapos, ang makakatanggap ng 500,000 pesos dividends ay mga resident aliens and citizens. When we speak about resident aliens and citizens, they are under individuals. So, based here sa table, ang dividends na matatanggap nila is subject to 10% final tax. So, 500,000 pesos dividends multiplied by the 10% final tax rate. So, ang final tax to be withheld by a foreign company with respect to the dividends to be received by resident aliens and citizens is 50,000 pesos. Let us now move on to the other shareholder of a foreign company, and they are the non-resident aliens engaged in trade or business. So, yung dividend na matatanggap nila is 100,000 pesos. Okay. When we speak about non-resident aliens engaged in trade or business, are they corporations or individuals? Of course, they are individuals. Okay, tingnan natin sa table. So, dito sa table, ang individuals na tinutukoy are only resident citizens, non-resident citizens, and resident aliens. So, hindi covered si non-resident aliens engaged in trade or business. So, what would be the applicable tax rate for them? Okay, ito yung 20% daw. So, what is the basis for this? Kanina when we were still discussing the dividend tax rules, na-mention ko na ang mga non-resident aliens engaged in trade or business are subject to a 20% final tax on dividend. Uulitin ko, sino ba yung subject to 20% final tax on dividend? Sila yung mga non-resident aliens engaged in trade or business. Okay, balikan natin yung illustration. So, sino ba yung mga shareholders na nakatanggap ng 100,000 pesos dividends mula kay Aborian Company? Mga non-resident aliens engaged in trade or business. And so, therefore, yung 100,000 pesos dividends nila is subject to the 20% of final tax. So, 100,000 pesos multiplied by 20% final tax rate, that is equal to 20,000 pesos. So, therefore, si Aborian Company, kailangan niyang mag-withhold ng 20,000 pesos from the dividends of the non-resident aliens engaged in trade or business. Alright, so punta naman tayo sa iba pang shareholders ni Aborian Company. So, ang next ay ang mga non-resident aliens not engaged in trade or business. And then, yung dividends nila is 50,000 pesos and yung corresponding final tax rate is 25%. So, bakit 25%? When we say non-resident aliens not engaged in trade or business, are they individuals or corporations? Of course, they are individuals. Tingnan nga natin sa table kung applicable yung rule na to para sa kanila. So, dito sa table, yung individuals covered are those resident citizens, non-resident citizens, at saka resident aliens. So, walang non-resident aliens dito. So, ibig sabihin, this table does not apply to the non-resident aliens not engaged in trade or business. So, malamang merong iba pang rule for them. And, meron nga talaga, eto yun. Sabi dito, ang dividend daw na matatanggap ng mga non-resident aliens not engaged in trade or business is subject to 25% final tax. So, klarong-klaro no, 25% final tax. So, 50,000 pesos dividends multiplied by 25% final tax rate, So the answer to that is 12,500 pesos. So meaning to say, ang dapat i-withhold ni Aborian Company with respect to the dividends to be received by non-resident aliens not engaged in trade or business ay 12,500 pesos. Okay, punta tayo sa last shareholder ni Aborian Company. Ito yung non-resident foreign corporation. And then ang dividend ay 100,000 pesos. Tapos yung final tax rate niya ay 30%. So alamin natin kung bakit 30%. Non-resident foreign corporation is obviously a corporation. Okay. Pwede ba nating i-apply yung rule na nasa table? Ang sagot ay hindi kasi dito sa table ang tinutukoy ng corporations ay mga domestic corporations lang at resident foreign corporations. Tapos yung shareholder ni Aborian Company ay non-resident foreign corporation. So, ibig sabihin, yung rule sa table ay hindi applicable para sa kanila. So, malamang sa malamang, merong sariling rule ang mga non-resident foreign corporations, which is meron nga. Ang sabi dito, ang non-resident foreign corporation daw ay hindi exempt sa tax, bagkus subject siya sa 30% general final tax rate, maliban lamang kung merong tax-sparing rule. So, in that case, 15% yung applicable tax niya. So, dito sa illustration, wala naman sinabing merong tax-sparing rule, diba? So, obviously, ang applicable tax rate for this case is 30%. So, 100,000 pesos dividend times 30%. So, the final tax na kailangan i-withhold ni Aborian Company with respect to the dividends to be received by non-resident foreign corporations ay 30,000 pesos. Okay, again, yung tanong dito ay how much is the total final tax na kailangan i-withhold ni Aborian Company, diba? So, kailangan nating i-add lahat ng final tax na ating na-compute. So, 50,000 plus 20,000 plus 12,500 plus 30,000. So, the total final tax na kailangan i-withhold ni Aborian Company ay 112,000 pesos. Historical dividend tax rates. Okay, so yung dividend daw dati before January 1, 1998, exempt daw yun sa final tax. Yung mga dividend from 1998, subject yun ng 6%. Yung dividend from 1999, subject yun sa 8%. Tapos, ito yung kasalukuyan, no? Yung dividend from 2000 and thereafter, which is until now, 10% yung final tax rate. Exempt dividends. So, ito yung dividends that are exempt from tax. Number 1 is the intercorporate dividends. So, intercorporate dividends, ito yung dividends na natanggap ng isang domestic corporation or ng isang resident foreign corporation galing sa isa pang domestic corporation. Again uulitin ko, ang intercorporate dividends ay isang dividend na natanggap ng isang domestic corporation or ng isang resident foreign corporation galing kanino? Galing sa isa pang domestic corporation. So again, exempt siya from tax. Intercorporate dividends also refers to the dividends na natanggap ng business partnerships galing sa domestic corporation. So, tatanong kayo, bakit exempt yun? Hindi yun corporation, business partnerships yun. Okay, ganito kasi yan. So, under the NIRC, ang business partnerships ay considered as corporations. Okay, another dividend that is exempt from tax is the dividends from cooperatives. Okay, tandaan nyo po ha, ano-ano yung mga dividends that are exempt from tax. One is intercorporate dividends, and number 2 is the dividends from cooperatives. Alright, let us now discuss another passive income subject to final tax. Actually, we're going to discuss two at this point. We have first the dividend income from a real estate investment trust, and then it will be followed by the share in the net income of a business partnership, taxable associations, joint ventures, joint accounts, or co-ownership. Okay, so ang 10%, the final withholding tax, ay applicable din sa mga dividends o kaya sa share ng net income ng mga entities na kinoconsider ng NIRC at ng special laws as corporation. So, ano-ano yung mga entities na yon? Eto sila. Number one, real estate investment trust. Two, business partnerships. Three, taxable associations. Four, taxable joint ventures, joint accounts or consortia. And number five, taxable co-ownership. Uulitin ko ha, ang 10% na final withholding tax ay applicable sa dividends ng real estate investment trust, applicable din sa share ng net income ng business partnerships, taxable associations, taxable joint ventures, joint accounts or consortia, and taxable co-ownership. However, dito sa real estate investment trust, meron tayong tatlong exemptions. So, yung dividend ng real estate investment trust ay exempt sa final tax kung ang makakatanggap nito ay isang non-resident alien or non-resident foreign corporation na entitled na mag-claim ng preferential tax rate pursuant to the applicable tax treaty, or kung ang makakatanggap ay isang domestic corporation or resident foreign corporation, or kung ang makakatanggap ng REIT dividend ay isang overseas Filipino investor. Pero exempt lang siya with respect to the REIT dividend tax until August 12, 2018. For business partnerships, taxable associations, taxable joint ventures, joint accounts or consortia, and taxable co-ownership, yung 10% final withholding tax ay ia-apply at the point of determination of the income, not at the point of actual distribution. Again, yung 10% final tax ay ia-apply during the time of determining how much is the income, hindi at the point of actual distribution. And then take note of the following things. Firstly, if yung salary, interest, and bonus ay naka-expense na sa book ng partnership, yung mga yun ay subject na sa regular tax ng receiving partner o yung makakatanggap ng mga yun, hindi na sa final tax. And then, yung subject lang ng final tax ay yung residual income or yung income after deducting the salary, the interest, and the bonus. Another thing that you guys need to remember is this one. A partner, member, or venture who is a non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business, or non-resident foreign corporation shall be subject respectively to 20%, 25%, and 30% final tax rate. Okay? Para mas malinaw, kung non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, 20% yung final tax rate para sa kanya. For non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business, 25% naman para sa kanya. And then, for non-resident foreign corporation, 30% yung final tax rate. So, at this point, i-apply na natin yung natutunan natin sa isang example. Ayan. The partnership profit distribution of partners, Andy and Mar, based on their agreed profit distribution scheme is as follows. So, ito yung computation ni na Andy and Mar sa kanilang profit sharing. So, salaries to industrial partner, 40,000 pesos para kay Andy. So, obviously, si Andy yung industrial partner. And next is interest to capitalist partner, 12,000 pesos para kay Mar. So, si Mar naman yung capitalist partner. Next, bonus to industrial partner, 25,000 pesos para kay Andy. And then, residual profit sharing, 8,000 pesos para kay Andy. And then, 24,000 pesos para kay Mar. So, yung total na share ng net income ni Andy ay 73,000 pesos. Kay Mar naman ay 36,000 pesos. And here's now the question. Assuming that the salaries, interest, and bonus are not expensed in the book of the partnership, how much is the 10% final tax? So, ang gagawin lang natin dito ay kunin yung total na profit sharing ng kada partner, tapos multiply natin sa final tax rate, which is 10%. Okay? So, for Andy, 73,000 pesos yung total profit sharing niya. Multiply natin by 10%, so that would be 7,300. Yun yung final tax. And then for Mar, the total profit sharing is 36,000 pesos. Tapos multiply natin sa 10% final tax rate. So, yung final tax is 3,600 pesos. Ayan. Okay, what if yung salaries, interest, and bonus ay naka-expense sa book ng partnership? Again, what if yung salaries, yung interest, and bonus ay naka-expense in the book of the partnership? So, magkano yung final tax? So, sa na-discuss natin, di ba, yung salaries, interest, and bonus, kung naka-expense na siya sa book ng partnership, yung mga yun ay subject to regular tax na ng nakatanggap na partner. So, therefore, hindi na siya kasali sa final tax. Yung kasali lang sa final tax ay yung residual income na lang. So, dito, kunin lang natin yung residual profit share ng kada partner. Tapos, multiply natin sa 10% final tax rate. So, for Andy, yung residual profit share niya ay 8,000 pesos. Tapos, multiply natin by 10% final tax rate. So, the answer to that is 800 pesos. So, yun yung final tax. And then, for Mar, yung residual profit share niya ay 24,000 pesos. Multiplied by 10% final tax rate. So, the answer would be 2,400 pesos. Yun yung final tax. Now, let us proceed to another passive income subject to final tax. We're now in royalties. So, passive royalty income received from sources within the Philippines is subject to the following final tax rates. If the royalty is coming from books, literary works, and musical compositions, that will be subject to 10% final tax for individuals and then 20% for corporations. If the royalty is from other sources, so that will be subject to 20% final tax for individuals and then 20% also for corporations. And then take note of the following things. Number one, the 10% preferential royalty final tax on books and literary works pertain to printed literatures. Royalties on books sold on e-copies or CDs such as e-books are subject to the 20% final tax. So, ibig sabihin, kapag ang pinag-uusapan ay mga printed literatures, so yung applicable final tax rate ay 10%. So, it's a preferential royalty final tax. Pero kapag ang pinag-uusapan ay mga electronic copies like CDs, electronic books, so yung royalty nun is subject to 20% final tax. Another thing that you guys need to remember is the royalties on cinematographic films and similar works paid to non-resident aliens engaged in trade or business, non-resident aliens not engaged in trade or business, or non-resident foreign corporations is subject to a final tax rate of 25%. So, sabi dito, 25% yung final tax rate daw kapag ang pinag-uusapan ay ang royalties ng cinematographic films and similar works, at yung babayaran ng royalty ay mga non-resident aliens either engaged in business or not, or kung non-resident foreign corporation yung babayaran ng royalty. And then lastly, royalties, either active or passive, earned from sources abroad are subject to regular income tax. So, ibig sabihin nito, yung subject to final tax lang ay ang mga royalties from sources within the Philippines. So, kapag ang royalty is earned from sources abroad, passive man siya or active, that will be subject to regular income tax. Passive royalties versus active royalties. Ayan, ang haba. Huwag nyo nang basahin. Basta ang ibig sabihin lang dito, kapag si taxpayer may active involvement pa rin, that is an active royalty, and therefore that is subject to regular income tax. Kapag kasi taxpayer wala ng active involvement, that is a passive royalty, and that is subject to 20% final tax. Alright, try nating i-apply yung natutunan natin about the royalties sa illustration na to. eSoft Incorporated develops application programs for establishments. These programs were individually tailored to meet specific requirements of the establishments and required upgrades, occasional troubleshooting, and adjustments for problems. The developer receives 1% of the sales of the establishment as royalty. Okay, question is the royalty here active or passive? So, di ba ang sabi, yung application program daw ay nangangailangan ng upgrades, occasional troubleshooting, and adjustments for problems. So, ibig sabihin, si eSoft Incorporated ay actively involved pa rin. So, therefore, this is an active royalty. And this will be subject to the regular tax. Okay, next, eSoft also developed a utility program and assigned it to an e-marketer which sells the utility program through the internet. eSoft receives 30% royalty on each copy of the program sold. Okay, is this an active or a passive royalty? Meron pa bang active involvement si eSoft Incorporated sa utility program once it is sold? Wala na, diba? So, therefore, the royalty here is a passive one, and that is subject to final withholding tax. Pero, if, let's say, si e-marketer ay hindi resident in the Philippines, so, this passive income, although passive siya, hindi siya subject to final withholding tax. That will be subject to regular tax. Kasi yung source ng royalty is a non-resident in the Philippines, no? 'Di ba sabi doon sa kanina sa diniscuss natin, yung royalty either active man siya or passive, as long as galing siya sa abroad, that will be subject to regular income tax. So let us now proceed to another passive income subject to final tax. So we are now in prices. So, ang prices ay pwedeng exempt from income tax or pwede din siyang subject to either final tax or regular income tax. So, ito yung mga prices that are exempt from income tax. Number 1, prices received by a recipient without any effort on his part to join the contest. Take note ha, yung recipient ng prize, walang effort on his part to join the contest. So, examples of this includes Nobel Prize, Most Outstanding Citizen, Most Benevolent Citizen of the Year. So, yung mga ganun klase na prizes, those are exempt from income tax. Requisite of the exemption. So, ito yung mga requirements for the exemption of the prize from the income tax. Number 1, the recipient was selected without any action on his part to enter the contest. So, dapat yung nakatanggap ng prize, wala siyang action on his part na sumali sa contest. Number 2, the recipient is not required to render substantial future services as a condition to receiving the prize or reward. So, dapat yung prize na natanggap is not subject to any condition. For taxable prizes, kung ang price exceeds 10,000 pesos, tapos yung nakatanggap ay isang individual, yung price na yun is subject to 20% final tax. Kapag ka ang nakatanggap ng price na nag-exceed ng 10,000 pesos ay isang corporation, so that will be subjected to regular tax. Kapag ka naman ang price does not exceed 10,000 pesos, so, it will be subjected to regular tax, de bale kung sino yung nakatanggap, individual man or corporation. Okay? So, medyo madali siyang memorize, di ba? So, tandaan nyo lang na Kapag ang pinag-uusapan ay taxable prices, halos lahat doon ay subject to regular tax except sa individuals. Kasi kapag yung price exceeds 10,000 pesos, yung individual, kung individual yung nakatanggap, that will be subjected to 20% final tax. Yun lang naman yung naiiba, di ba? Okay, and then we have here things that you need to note. First, prices earned by corporations are subject to regular income tax. So, that's the rule. So, kapag ang recipient or ang nakatanggap ng prices are corporations, automatic that is subject to regular income tax. And then, another thing, passive income from foreign sources are subject to regular income tax. So, kapag yung prices, yung taxable prices is galing abroad, that is subject to regular income tax. And then I would like to remind you that yung individuals na tinutukoy dito ay mga citizens, either resident or non-resident, tapos resident aliens, tapos non-resident aliens engaged in trade or business. Dahil kapag yung non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business yung pag-uusapan, generally they're subject to 25% final tax rate. Tsaka sa corporations naman, ang tinutukoy dito ay mga domestic corporations at resident foreign corporations. Dahil yung non-resident foreign corporation, yung general final tax rate nila ay 30%. Okay, so at this point, let us proceed to the next passive income subject to final tax, and that will be winnings. So for PESI-SO or Lotto winnings not exceeding 10,000 pesos, that will be exempt from the tax. Either the recipient is individual or corporation. Tapos yung PCSO or Lotto winnings exceeding 10,000 pesos, that will be subject to 20% final tax, both for individuals and corporations. And then other winnings in general, for individuals, that is 20% final tax. Tapos for corporations, that is subject to regular tax. Okay, things that you need to know, the PCSO or Lotto winnings of non-resident aliens not engaged in trade or business and non-resident foreign corporations, regardless of the amount, are respectively subject to 25% or 30% final tax. Okay, so para malinaw ha, so etong individuals na tinutukoy dito sa recipients ay mga citizen, resident citizen, non-resident citizen, resident alien, at saka non-resident citizen engaged in trade or business. So with respect to the PCSO or Lotto winnings of non-resident aliens not engaged in trade or business, that will be subject to 25% regardless kung magkano yung panalo. And then, ang corporation naman na tinutukoy dito sa table ay domestic corporation at resident foreign corporation. Dahil kapag non-resident foreign corporation, yung PCSO or Lotto winnings niya ay subject to 30% final tax kahit magkano yung panalo. Next, the tax rules on PCSO or Lotto winnings shall be applied on a per ticket basis. So take note ha, the PCSO or Lotto winnings shall be applied on a per ticket basis. And then lastly, winnings earned by corporations are subject to regular income tax. Pag ang pinag-uusapan ay winnings earned by corporations, that is subject to regular income tax. With respect to passive income from foreign sources, passive income from foreign sources, that will be subject to regular income tax. Okay, so try natin i-apply yung mga natutunan natin dito sa mga illustrations. Okay, we have the first one. Apolinario won 10,000 pesos first place in the singing contest sponsored by Seed Company during their company anniversary celebration. Okay, question is, how much is the final tax for Apolinario's prize? So, dito si Apolinario exerted effort para manalo sa singing contest. So, therefore, hindi to exempt sa tax, this is subject to tax. Ang tanong ngayon is magkano yung tax dito. So, yung amount ng price ay 10,000 pesos. Okay, check nga natin dun sa table na diniscuss natin. Prices. Okay. So, Apolinario is an individual for sure, di ba? Individual siya. And then, yung price niya ay 10,000 pesos. So, saan siya na-belong? Dito sa prices not exceeding 10,000 pesos. So, that will be subject to regular tax. So, kapag ang tanong dito is magkano yung final tax na dapat i-withhold ng seed company with respect to the 10,000 pesos price won by Apolinario, ang sagot natin ay wala or zero. Kasi yung 10,000 pesos price ni Apolinario is not subject to final tax. Instead, it is subject to regular income tax. If the price won by Apolinario is more than 10,000 pesos, that's the time na magwi-withhold si seed company ng final tax. So, magkano naman yung i-withhold niya? So, that would be 20% of the price. Again, kapag yung price ni Apolinario is more than 10,000 pesos. Alright, another illustration. Roy's raffle ticket was selected as the second winning ticket in the raffle draw of ZFT Mall for 10,000 pesos, dubbed as second prize. So, anong rule ang i-apply natin dito? Is it prize or winnings? When we say prize, may effort si taxpayer. Okay. Check nga natin if Roy has exerted an effort during the raffle draw. Diba? When we speak about raffle draw, it is not based on effort, but it is based on chance, based on swerte. So, therefore, yung rule natin na susundin ay sa winnings. So, check natin yung rule sa winnings. Winnings. Eto. Okay, so what type of winnings ba yung napanalunan ni Roy? Lotto winnings ba yun? Of course, hindi, di ba? Raffle draw yun. So, it falls under the other winnings in general na category. So, Roy is an individual. So, yung napanalunan niyang 10,000 pesos is subject to 20% final tax. Alright, so we have another illustration. Mr. Dante Paya made 3 bets to the PCSO Lotto draws. All tickets won. Wow. Swerte naman yan, no? Sana all. And then the details of the winnings were for easy 2, 4,000 pesos yung panalo niya. For 642, 10,000 pesos yung panalo niya. And then for 645, 20 million pesos. Wow. That is grand prize. Okay, so ano nga yung rule natin when it comes to Lotto winnings? 'Di ba yung application ng rule is per ticket basis, 'di ba? Per ticket basis 'yon. Okay, sige. Paki-memorize nga kung magkano yung mga panalo ni Dante Paya, ha? Again, for easy to 4,000, 642, 10,000 pesos, tapos 645, 20 million pesos. Ililipat ko tong slides dun sa winnings para ma-check natin if tama yung sinabi ko na per ticket basis yung application. Eto. Oh, okay, under the note, no? Second, the tax rules on PCS or Lotto winnings shall be applied on per ticket basis. So, tama ako. So, per ticket basis yung application ng rule. Okay, ano nga yung mga panalo ni Paya? Diba 4,000 easy to? 4,000. So, that winnings, yung 4,000 pesos does not exceed 10,000 pesos. So, exempt yun. Wala yung tax. And then, for 642, 10,000 pesos. 10,000 pesos. Oh, not exceeding 10,000 pesos pa rin. So, exempt yun. And then, yung last niya, 645. Yung napanalunan niya ay 20 million pesos. 20 million pesos. So, exceeding 10,000 pesos. And then, Roy Paya is an individual. So, the 20 million pesos is subject to 20% final tax. So, si PCSO kailangan niyang mag-withhold ng 20% from the 20 million pesos 645 grand prize ni Dante Paya. Okay, so let us now discuss another passive income subject to final tax. We are now in informer's tax reward. So when we say tax informer's reward, this refers to the cash reward given to the person instrumental in the discovery of violations of the NIRC or discovery and seizure of smuggled goods. And then that cash reward is subject to the 10% final tax. So here's now the requisites of tax informer's reward. So these are the requirements. Number one, definite sworn information which is not yet in the possession of the BIR. 2. The information furnished lead to the discovery of fraud upon internal revenue laws or provisions thereof. 3. Enforcement result in recovery of revenues, surcharges and fees and or conviction of the guilty party or imposition of any fine or penalty. And 4, the informer must not be a BIR official or employee. B, other public official or employee. C, relative within the sixth degree of consanguinity of those mentioned in A and B. So, magkano ba yung cash reward na matatanggap ng whistleblower? So, ito yung rule. The amount of cash reward is whichever the lower of the 10% of revenues, surcharges, or fees recovered and or fine or penalty imposed and collected or 1 million pesos. So, si BIR, magko-compute pa siya kung magkano yung total na babayaran ni violator. Tapos, ang total nun, multiplied by 10%. So, yan yung posible na cash reward na pwedeng makuha ni whistleblower. And then, i-compare yan with the 1 million peso ceiling. So, kung alin yung mas mababa, yun yung cash reward ni whistleblower.